What's up, Space Pirates? This is your Admiral, the chronically charismatic Dr. Disaster. And with all the news that's been swirling about in the past few weeks, I haven't been able to find the time to talk about a recent release which has been absolutely kicking butt. However, I had to make time to acknowledge the wild success of the early access for the game Path of Exile 2.
Totally and completely badass.
If you aren't familiar, this game is very similar to Diablo 2, complete with portals to town and everything like that. Which, I don't mean to say that in a demeaning way, it's just that this is a game that knows very much what it wants to be, and it doesn't apologize and it doesn't mess around. Path of Exile 2 is just another in a line of recent games where we've seen that simply making games, normal games, without any of the weird, progressive preachiness is actually a freaking goldmine, because that's all that gamers really want.
I love you.
I mean, look at the Steam chart for this thing here. This is just the early access time period for the game. People dropped $60 just so they could play Path of Exile 2 early, even though the game will be free to play in half a year or so. People just wanted it this much, and it's beating out Marvel rivals in player count, with a max concurrent number at well over 500,000, sitting at just about 580,000 players. That is astonishingly good, and based on everything that I've seen for the game, this is one that you should look into if you like Diablo-styled games. Hell, even the game journalists are liking what they see with this game.
I pure, straight hate you. But god damn it, do I respect you.
But alright, let's dive on into Path of Exile 2 and just see what people are saying about it. I haven't played it myself as of yet, but the game does look sick from the gameplay videos that I've watched. More than anything, I just wanted to make sure that my audience is aware that this game exists. At first, when I was researching Path of Exile 2, I noticed that there were no scores available on Metacritic, and I was prepared to call that out, but it turns out that when a game is in early access mode, Metacritic itself doesn't allow scores to show up, so this doesn't happen to be an instance of game journalists avoiding leaving reviews for games. With that said, let's look at what these reviewers have to say for the game. It's generally pretty positive, and for once I find myself agreeing with the game journals. This game is kinda reminiscent of Baldur's Gate 3 from last year in the sense that everybody just kinda loved it. Sure, there were elements of that game that you could construe as woke, and a lot of us don't like that stuff, but they didn't force it down your throat in Baldur's Gate 3, you weren't required to play the game in that kind of way, it didn't feel intrusive in the way that Avowed, for example, feels intrusive by listing the character pronouns on the character menu screen. Now, to be clear, I have no problems with options, but when I'm forced to do something, to play a certain way, and to abide by a certain ideology, that is when I draw the line. And it would go the other way as well. I'm old enough to remember when it wasn't the so-called progressives who were attempting to shove their moralistic crap down my gullet. When I was a kid, the religious, church-going folks were trying to convince me that video games were the devil's influence, and I don't go for that either. I know there's been a lot of talk in our gaming circles recently about games like The First Descendant, where some people are upset because they believe that game shows too much skin. And I'll say this, I will fight just as fervently against that attitude as well as I would against the wokeness. I don't care if your own personal preferences keep you from trying out The First Descendant. That's fine, but leave me out of it and let me make up my own mind. I'm very pro-individual thought. I believe in just informing people and letting them figure out what they think from there. That doesn't mean I won't give you my opinion on games. My own personal opinion is something that I offer up all the time on this channel. For example, with the recent Indiana Jones game, I just don't care for the combat in it. I don't like the characterization or the animation on their faces. The game just doesn't feel right to me, and I'm not afraid to tell you that, whether you agree or not. Here in this space pirate crew, we aren't a monolith, and sometimes we're just gonna disagree. But I'm digressing quite a bit here. Let's look at some of the reviews for this game from the game journals. Games Radar wrote, Path of Exile 2 is a thrilling and sprawling action RPG with fantastic combat and impressive character customization options, but will require some patience to fully appreciate. Even in early access with a fraction of the planned content, it offers a robust package for players who want to dive into build crafting and master their own way to tear through dungeons. And then the Gaming Bible said, while I can't give a definitive opinion on the game as a whole, I can deliver a verdict on the slice of what will be available on release day, which is an ARPG of sheer brilliance. One that I know will consume many more hours, will please an already established and eager player base, and evolve over time into something even more special. And they gave an early access score of 90 out of 100. And then MGG wrote, Path of Exile 2 is very polished and much more down to earth than its competitors, allowing it to stand out from the crowd and offer something fundamentally different without denying its origins. Even so, it could suffer from being too similar to Diablo in particular. It's the Souls-like of hack and slash and other ARPGs, and you need to bear this in mind before diving in. If difficulty doesn't scare you, and you like dark, even unhealthy worlds, there's no doubt that Path of Exile 2 is made for you. Otherwise, it's best not to risk it, especially as long as you have to pay for it. And then this guy gave an early access score of 85 out of 100. But you know, it's remarkable that this game has so many people willing to drop so much money in order to play it early. You've got to think that on Steam here, with over 500,000 players dropping $60 a piece, that's well over $30 million the studio made in what amounts to freebies. An entry fee for a free-to-play game. People are basically paying them to beta test. That's got to be nice. So keep your eyes open for this game. I do think it looks pretty cool. But anyhow, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know if any of you guys are playing or plan to play Path of Exile 2 in early access. I'd love to hear how it's going. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.